Hello friends, today we are going to discuss about one of the important topics in electronics. You have been learning about electronics, though not learning, you have been using it all along. But we don't know exactly what is involved in these electronic gadgets that we use every day and also how they function. So to find out exactly what is going on between these within these apparatus or appliances that we use, there are like small components which are called devices, or as you call it, kind of the nuts and bolts of the system which make these systems work the way we want them to work. We have been using radios, television, we have been using mobile phones, whatnot. In our kitchen we are using like refrigerator or washing machines also, which are also now programmed and controlled in using electronic devices. So all in all, every walk of life where you go, you're always encountered in some way or the other with some electronics, always. Even you are watching me because there is a lot of electronics that is working here, including picking up my sound, picking up my image, transmitting it to you, and you are seeing it on your television set. So for all these things, what is exactly going on and what are the devices that make these things work is something that we are going to discuss today. For this, we are going to discuss essentially the PHE 10, the Electrical Circuits and Electronics course of BSc elective, which is a physics elective, and in that we have in our block 1, unit 3, which is related with electronic devices, and today we are going to discuss mainly about that. Basically, what is electronics? Let's start from that point. Electronic is essentially any controlled motion of electrons. Now how we control it is something that is going to be the marvel of technology. Essentially, we had two categories in any electronic device. Either it will be a vacuum system or it will be a solid state device. Now control of motion of electrons in vacuum, as you might have heard that there used to be some radios which were wall radios in earlier era. Also there are some wall and vacuum tube devices which are still in use, like in cathode ray tube or photomultiplier tube, as we will be discussing shortly. However, these vacuum devices, as you know, are like encapsulated, glass encapsulated devices which are containing vacuum in them, and so they are very delicate. They are also bulky and they also require higher voltages for operation, and that's why nowadays the use of vacuum devices has been reduced quite extensively, and that is because of the solid state devices. We already know the very common words like diodes, transistors, and basically they are very compact devices which are rugged. Since they are even very small size, you don't even need a lot of power to drive these devices, so they are low power devices also. So they are very convenient to use. However, today we will be starting our discussion with vacuum devices, and why you will know when you see this slide. You might have seen the microwave generator oven which will be used at our various places for cooking purposes. The generator who generates these microwave frequencies is still a wall device. It has not been completely replaced by solid state devices till date, and there are wall devices in microwave ovens even till today. Another example is here. This is a device which is called photomultiplier tube. It is used in actually quite advanced scientific instruments to measure or count the number of photons. Essentially, in many analytical instruments you will be finding this photomultiplier tube, and this again is a vacuum device which has not been replaced by any of the solid state device. And now if you see this, in any of the laboratories you might have seen a cathode ray oscilloscope, or the another example is a household example, a television, where you have a cathode ray tube where you have a flow of electrons which is controlled using few electromagnetic devices or plates, so to say, and electrons are made to move across a screen where you can see a picture. So we can say very safely that even vacuum tube devices are not completely out of our life yet, and it is worthwhile to see exactly what they are like. So let us go to the very basic thing. The basic of very small kind of device of vacuum, the simplest vacuum tube device is a diode. Diode is having essentially two electrodes. One is called cathode and another is called anode. Anode is normally positively charged, while positive voltage is given to it, and cathode or a filament is kept at ground potential. So when this filament is heated, it starts emitting electrons, and these electrons are attracted towards anode because of the positive potential given to it, and so we get a flow of electrons within this tube. So now this is the basic diode. You can have another variant of this diode also, because essentially sometimes this filament is not enough to generate the electrons that are needed for this purpose of our operation of this device. So an additional low work function plate is placed, which is called cathode, and this cathode is heated by this filament, and when it gets heated, it starts ejecting electrons. Since its work function is very low, it readily radiates the electrons, and these are attracted towards the anode, and we get a flow of electron, that is, we set up a current in a circuit. A typical wall, if you see, is a kind of a glass encapsulation. You can see it here also. This is how the wall looks like real life. This is a photograph of one of the diode walls. In this case, essentially you have a glass encapsulation in which you have various electrodes, the one that I was talking about, the heater or the cathode assembly, and then here you have a cylindrical kind of thing which is going to attract all those electrons, which is the anode, and here through this vacuum some contacts are brought out to the light. Now why you need this kind of arrangement is essentially because we are playing with electrons. Now when electrons try to reach from a cathode to anode, in that if we are trying to do this experiment in air, then these electrons will get go and collide with other air atoms or air molecules, and they will get lost on its way. So you need to keep a free passage of electrons before they reach the anode, and so for that, to ensure that they get a free path, you should have the encapsulation which is evacuated. There are no air molecules where they will get scattered or lost. So this is essentially a typical diode wall. But in this case now we have only one control, is that by putting the anode at particular potential, we keep on attracting the electrons towards it. So a typical circuit of a diode, how it looks is here. You can see we have an anode supply here where the positive is given to anode plate, and we have a heater here, and the cathode, which is the low work function plate, as I told you, which is connected to the negative of this supply. Initially, if you don't have any voltage here, then what will happen? If this filament is heated, then it will start generating, it will start hitting this cathode plate, and it will start emitting electrons. However, they will not reach this point because there is not a heavy attractive force for them if we don't put any voltage there. In that case, these electrons try to accumulate in this region in between, which is called the space charge region. But as you start increasing the potential, if you start increasing this voltage, then slowly we get a flow of electrons which get attracted to anode, and you can measure it with a milliammeter here, and which completes the circuit through the cathode. What we had done here is the same thing what I explained you just now, is that when we start increasing the, here on this x axis is the anode voltage, and here on the y axis is the current. As I told you, when we don't have any voltage applied to anode, then we have a very small current. Yes, this is a current which few of the electrons which were emitted here without even any application of anode voltage also try to reach there, and it is called a splash current. It is a very small current, but as we the anode voltage, we start getting more and more electrons getting attracted, so that we get a higher and higher current that is generated. Now this is called the space charge limited region, where we have the linear region or operation, where we have got a linear relationship between the anode voltage with anode current. After certain time, however, you will find that this curve, that increase in the current with voltage, ceases and it kind of attains a saturation value. Now why is that? That's because though you have applied high voltage at the anode, of course this filament has got its own temperature, it has got its own ability to heat the cathode plate and eject electrons out of it. So as the temperature is maintained at certain point, then the current that is going to be limited after certain voltage will be determined by how many electrons are ejected actually at that temperature. If you see, I had drawn here 3 curves, because if you go on increasing the temperature of the cathode or the filament temperature, if you go on increasing, then we do get increase in the anode current, because with higher the temperature you get more and more electrons ejected out. So this is what a typical diode is there. But now if you see, this happens only when the anode potential is in positive region. You don't have anything which is for negative voltage, and which is quite natural. If you apply a negative voltage at this point, all the electrons that are here are not going to get attracted at all, they will get repelled rather. Okay, so you don't get any flow of current. So now here we have got a device which is sensitive to the polarity of the voltage applied, and it allows the conduction only in one cycle, or only in a positive cycle of anode voltage, and so we get what is called a rectification action. Rectification, as you know, if we got a sine wave which goes from negative to positive, then the rectifier is the one which allows only positive cycle to pass through, whereas a negative cycle is clipped in it. So this is exactly what we are seeing now in this vacuum diode. Now what is happening here? What we did was that, okay, we did have a current which was like determined by the voltage that we have applied to anode. But as you know, the anode voltage is quite high, 300 volts or so you have to apply. So there is hardly anything that the device can be put to use as an electronic device, that is when you are going to have a control of a particular signal that you want to give. Now here in this case, I have shown a signal which we want to actually amplify, say. In that case, where do I get it? What I do now in this case is I additionally give one grid here, which is introduced between the cathode and anode. And when I get this kind of additional grid, which is a wire wound filament typically, or a net kind of thing, then whatever voltage I apply here is going to appear on this screen, and in this grid, so it is going to be an obstruction to the electrons that are flowing from the cathode to anode, as we have seen in the earlier case. So now we are going to have a kind of control through this particular grid. So now in 2 dimension you can see that it will look like this, that you have a filament and then you have added this grid and then you have a plate. So this is how the triode wall will look. Triode means 3 electrodes. So now what we can do is that if I apply a variable voltage here to a grid, what will happen if I apply, say, positive voltage? Then whatever in the electrons that were here, they will get more attracted here and try to go ahead. But if I apply negative potential, then though there is a positive potential here, since here some negative signal is coming, the electrons that would have reached here now cannot reach all of them there. And so you get reduction in the anode current when you apply a negative cycle at the grid. Okay, so this is the way you can have a control on the flow of electron by applying a small signal in form of a grid. Of course, as I told you that if you apply positive voltage here, then what will happen? All the electrons that are there will start getting attracted here itself. They don't have to even reach the anode, but that will heat the grid and it may even damage it. So essentially always the grid is always biased, or even under no signal condition also is kept at a small negative potential, so that it does not attract these electrons or get damaged. It is only operated in the negative signal. This is a typical characteristic curve we have drawn here. You need not go into much of the details of this. However, it is like a anode current versus anode voltage. If I have got different grid voltages, when I say have no grid voltage, then it is just like a diode. The earlier case that we have seen, that you are going to have as much of the anode current depending on whatever the voltage I apply to the anode. So with anode voltage I get some anode current. But if I start applying some negative potentials to my grid, slowly it starts reducing the amount of current that is getting flown towards anode, irrespective of the voltage that is applied to it. So now we have different curves or characteristic curves which are going to be determined by the voltage that is being applied to the control grid. So this is how the triode was working. And another characteristic also I have shown here is where we have seen that we keep a anode voltage constant, say a particular value for this particular curve. Then for that particular curve, as I go on increasing negative bias on the grid, my anode current starts dropping. And this you can observe for different anode voltages also. Okay, so this is another curve that we are getting, and in this case if you see, the amplification that we get is essentially what is the change in anode cathode voltage per unit change in the grid cathode voltage. Okay, so that is the gain that we are going to get in case of a triode valve. But when we see the diode voltages, if you remember that this control grid we had kept at small negative voltage, and then we are applying AC voltage to it, that is a signal. Then cathode is at 0 volt and anode is almost at 300 volt or more. So now if you see, what happens is that since this is almost in the negative region and this is as a positive and this is a vacuum in between here, this looks something like a capacitor. Capacitor is essentially two plates, the metal plates, which are separated by a kind of a dielectric, and when you apply potential to these plates, then it holds the charge. That's how the capacitor works. But effectively now, because of vacuum in this particular device, we are generating a capacitive effect here. Now what happens because of this capacitance? Essentially, if you see, a capacitor is having impedance which is inversely proportional to the frequency of operation. So if I got a very high frequency signal, then this capacitor starts playing a role where it starts, like, giving a very low, offering a very low impedance to these particular high frequency components, and so they don't contribute into our normal conduction of triode wall that we were expecting. And so if we have a range of frequencies, then we get a kind of a frequency dependent output because of this capacitance. So what can we do about it? To do that, there is another important way, and this is here what is called a screen grid. Now we have additionally introduced another grid here. This grid is essentially kept at a potential which is positive but which is lower than anode. So you are not stopping these electrons from going there, but now you have isolated this particular 0 volts and 300 volts by this additional positive potential here. So this capacitance effect has been reduced. So you have essentially here the screen grid is kept at a lower potential than the anode voltage. So we have solved our problem of stray capacitance here. Since there are 4 grids now, it is called tetrode. Okay. Now in this tetrode there is another problem. What the problem is, in case say you have a positive potential here and positive potential here, it is always happening that since there are electrons which are going to come from cathode, and due to this high voltage here, they are going to get accelerated and hit the this anode. Now when they hit the anode, they eject few electrons which are called secondary electrons, and these secondary electrons are essentially like, normally they should be absorbed and going into circuit. However, it is not possible. What they do is that because of this 200 volts they see here, they come and get attracted here. Now because of this, though you are sending electrons from here, the secondary electrons get attracted here and they do not contribute into the anode current. And so if you see the curves, what happens is that even if you increase the voltage on the anode, you start to kind of get a dip in the current that you were seeing. That is because the secondary electrons were now eaten up by the screen grid. So we have got effectively what is called a negative resistance region here. Now how to take care of that? For that we have another possibility, and that is we put in what is called a suppressor grid. We have added a fifth grid here. So now we have 5 electrodes. So it is now a pentode. And in this particular case, we have got this suppressor grid at 0 volts. So since now this 200 volts thing has been isolated from this 300 volt by this additional suppressor grid, there is no chance of the secondary electrons coming and hitting this screen grid. And so if you see the characteristics of pentode, see, I have shown you all the 3 here. This one, the negative resistance type, are the tetrodes, and now when we have added the suppressor grid, we get a pentode where we get a normal characteristic the way we expected. So this is all how the electronic devices in case of vacuum tube are concerned are working. We'll just recap this. You have in essentially any vacuum tube valve a typical vacuum chamber or a vacuum encapsulation in which you have a filament. After that you have a cathode which is going to have a low work function which will be effectively aiding in electron emission. You have anode which is positive potential. However, there was no control, so we have added a control grid in case of a triode. But then we got a problem of a stray capacitance, so we added a screen grid. But then because the screen grid was at a positive potential, we got a problem of the secondary electrons being eaten up by the screen grid and giving rise to a negative resistance device kind of thing. So we added a suppressor grid and we form a pentode. So we'll stop at this particular point of time as far as the vacuum devices are concerned. Thank you very much for your attention.